We're going to start with the first Iker, and that is the Emunah and the Eibishter. There are so many misunderstandings that Yidden have, partially from ignorance. So we have to talk about this. You stop almost every Yid and ask him, what is Emunah? Come out sure that they're going to answer, Emunah means to believe that there is a God. What's Emunah? Believing that there is a God. Anybody who learns Rambam knows that that's not Emunah. The Rambam holds to believe in the Eibishter that he exists is not Emunah. It's something that you must, it's a mitzvah to study till you are convinced al pi seichel that there has to be a boirer. So you can't say that's Emunah. You don't need Emunah. Hashem says, listen here, I obligate you, you have a chiyuv. The Rambam, the way the Rebbe learns the Rambam, later. First is later. You have to learn about the Eibishter until you are logically convinced that he exists. So if you say I believe, that's a lazy thing. You don't have to believe that. You could prove. What's Emunah? We'll soon talk about. But one thing for sure, that Emunah does not mean believe that he exists. So we're saying that Emunah, that there is a God existing, nicht das meint Emunah api nigle. B'meile, every person, the Rambam says this so clear, he even brings a proof. In the Rambam brings one of the proofs, that's a Muzayin Eibishter. So das is a Sach, was a sehr negeye zu reden zu mention, that it's something that you can prove and you must prove. Don't be lazy. Don't just say, okay, I believe, I don't need to understand. Hashem warns that your mind should also be convinced. Not that you need confirmation, not that you need help. No, you have already a belief in Hashem. You're born with that, as we'll soon talk. But Hashem wants your mind also to be convinced intellectually that there has to be an Eibishter. It's a mitzvah to medius. We always have to be thinking about Hashem and improving his existence. It should be clear that he has to exist. Now, let's go to some very important basic questions. The Rambam, as we all know, holds that Emunah is a mitzvah. It's the first mitzvah in his Seder of the Tayyag mitzvahs. It's the first mitzvah. There are other Rishonim, like the Ramban, and a lot of Rishonim that say, how could you call it a mitzvah? As soon as you say a mitzvah, you're already implying that there is an Eibishter. So what means there's a mitzvah to believe? It's a contradiction. So what did the Rambam hold? Then there's another question. How could you command somebody to believe? You could command somebody to do a mitzvah, to put on tefillin, put on tzitzis, but to believe, you could command him. And if I don't, what am I supposed to do? So this kasha, this shaila, is really a shaila on all mitzvahs that have a mitzvah on the heart, like va'ahavta. It said in the Torah, we have a mitzvah saseh to love Hashem. Okay, So the kasha that everybody asks, including the Rambam, how could you command to love? And if I don't love, what am I supposed to do? It's a feeling. So the Rambam himself in Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah says, Keitzad Yovel Avosei V'Yirosei. So the Rambam holds, Take, you can't command somebody to love. So the mitzvah is on learning and contemplating why you should love. And then the love will come. So b'meila, we're going back to the Shaila. So how could the Rambam even say that there's a mitzvah say to believe in Hashem, which we'll soon see what that means. But in the Havamina, what means a mitzvah? And if I don't, what am I supposed to do? How could it be a chiyuv on emunah? Derech agav, which is very important for everyone to know, that the Rambam goes l'shitosai in the whole Mishnah Torah. Every time there's a mitzvah saseh or a mitzvah loiseseh that is connected to a hagesh shebelev, the Rambam has the same shittah. We're not talking to you about the heart. We're talking to you about what you should do with your mind to either to have a positive feeling or to not to have a negative feeling, but it's always the chiyuv is on the mind, not on the heart. When the Rambam talks about when the Yidden went to a Muhammad, there used to be a Mashuach Muhammad that made announcements, and then finally, after he made all the announcements, the final announcement, whoever left was left to go to the war, who went already to the war. You have to understand, this is just a side little joke, but it's really interesting. Anyone who's rach halevav yoshev lebeisai. Yeah? So which mishiganer, everybody knows who they are. They have nothing on they don't even have soch ben tefillin shaliyat shalosh, can also not go. So who went? So went Laser the Krumme, Rebbe Pacha, and another few Elter Chassidim. Who would go to the war? He's not coming back. So that's an interesting observation that according to the Torah, somebody who had nothing to worry about, he went to the war. So I personally always couldn't understand what kind of how does it stem with Baal Shem Tov and Chassidus? You tell a guy, you made a sin, you're no good, you're no good, go home, get lost. That's how you makarev a person. A person who he feels that he has an aveira on his heart, be a makarev. What kind of this doesn't make, how does this stem with the whole Chassidus? Oh, das getan an aveira, you're puzzle. So I want to tell you, this bothered me for many years, and I found the answer. There's a sefer, a holy sefer called Tzroir Hamor. You ever heard of that sefer? It's a Pirsha Chumash. He's from the Friedike, a gewaltige, a holy sefer, and he says clear, Mi hayarei v'rachal livov, not go home, you'll get lost, you do tshuva. That's a whole different part. They didn't tell him you're not fit. Forget about it. Forget. They told him you have to do tshuva first. Do tshuva, Yoko. So it's very important if this ever comes. If somebody ever asks you this question, what is going on over here? So that you should know from this Tzroir Hamor. Anyway, getting back to where we're up to. So the shaila is, how could you give a tzivoy on emunah? So the Rebbe has a whole mahalach of what the Rambam is saying. This is pikuach nefesh for everyone to know. The Rambam holds that emunah does not mean emunah that there exists the Eibishter. Leida ulahamin. You first have to learn and think about godless Hashem. It's a mitzvah tmidiyas to learn and grow, that the Eibishter got to be this and he got to be that. And every day you could come up with more different inyanim that muchachim that he has to be. Not only l'mayla min asman, not only l'mayla min amokim, l'mayla from, you can't even call him bligvul, he's bligvul and gvul. Every day you could grow and grow in your yediyah. Not you can, you must. It's a mitzvah to the raisa. And then the emunah is, I believe that he's more than that. As much as I understand, I believe that he's greater than that. The mitzvah is not accepting that there is an Eibishter. The mitzvah is you have to push it, use your head. Constantly learn and grow in your yediyah. And as every time, no matter where you go with your yediyah, the amunah is, but I believe that he's much higher, much greater. So we all know that in Chassidus it says that the word amunah comes from the word imun. It's a work. It's not style, I believe. It's an amunah after my yediyah. So when are you mekayim the amunah? When you reach as much as you can with your mind, then I believe that he's more. So the question, how could you give a tzivui? The tzivui is on the yediyah. It's a sandwich. Mit the yediyah, then hasid amunah. So the chiyuv is on the das, not on the amunah. Is it clear? In Loshin from Tzemach Tzedek, if you look in Derech Mitzvah in Mitzvahs Emunah Holocaust, he Kamat says the same thing, maybe in a little bit different words. The Emunah is in Soiviv, but it's basically the same idea, that you're mechuyev to understand the Mamala Kalalmin, and the Emunah is in Soiviv Kalalmin. So where are we? So we are now trying to understand Shittas HaRambam, the Shitta of the Rebbe. It goes by this Shitta, that's the mitzvah of Amunah, and it's dafke after the Yediyah. So b'meila in Kitzur, we're not at all talking about the Amunah that a Yid is born with. Because mitzvah means, pashit, akum v'asei, I have something to do. What you are is not a mitzvah. That's who you are. So we now have to go back and let's start from the beginning. A pashit a shaila that could be asked, why do we need to have a mitzvah of amunah? We are born maminim, mir maminim, b'nei maminim. So very, very quickly, the answer is that the amunah is not about believing the Eibishter. The amunah is a combination of after yediyah. So that answers that question. But let's go back to something very interesting that I'm sure you noticed already, but it's very important to talk about this clearly. What does it mean, or why are Yidden maminim b'nei maminim? So the Rebbe, in the last Mugadik Maimer, we all know this Maimer, the Rebbe says 2 biyurim from where we have Amunah. This is so important. We first, till this Maimer was printed, but now this is an eye-opener. It's so important for ourselves and for whoever we are mekarev. The Rebbe says 2 biyurim. Biur number 1, our neshama l'mayla sees the Eibishter. There's nothing more powerful We all know, Al Pi Nigle, we know, Ein Doimish, Miyalichia, Ein Eid Nafedain. What you see, a person could never refute with all the Hezberim in the world. But I saw it. I can't help you. I saw it. Emunah, says the Rebbe, comes because my neshama sees the Eibishter. My neshama lemata has like a memory of what it saw. It doesn't see it now. The neshama lemata doesn't see it, but its neshama lemaila does see it. So the vados that a yid believes in the Eibishter because he sees the Eibishter. This is nuts. This chamoire dike hezber. There's nothing stronger than something that I'm witnessing. So it's not only my neshama once upon a time saw the Eibishter. We all know that we have now. It says in Chassidus very strong words that now the Ikar HaNeshama is now Lamaila. This is Sugar de Kevete. Not that there's something left up there, a Reshime. Ikar HaNeshama is now Lamaila. And the part of the Neshama that is working with the body is Aharas HaNeshama. But the Ikar HaNeshama is seeing the Eibishter. Derech Hagav, which I think is a deraisa to share with you, if you didn't notice it, when we say the neshama l'mayla, what does that mean? There's no makom, and for sure, if it means l'mayla somewhere else, it's still wrong. I saw Poshet in a Maimah. You got to listen to this. It's going to be a shock in your whole nerve system. Lemaila doesn't mean lemaila. You know what means lemaila? Lemaila metam v'das. It's above your koiches hanefesh. There is you the way you are, your neshama without the tzimtzum of the koiches, and there is you with your koiches. Lemaila doesn't mean in another place. It's lemaila from your hagbolus of your koiches. This is moiradik negeya. It's negeya avodas Hashem. When it comes to a yontif, it comes to, and we hear that it says in a yontif, this is going on and that's going on, and you get frustrated. But I don't feel it. I don't see it. So you know what's the? You don't see it. What means you don't see it? The part of you that is mitzumtzim in a nefesh abamis, it's all, that part doesn't see it. But the real part of you does see it, does feel it. It's a whole different kind of a deher. Neshama l'mayla doesn't mean in Kanasi. When it talks in Chassidus, that there is a Baal Shem Tov, famous vat, that there's a bas girl every day, and the shaila is who hears the bas girl, and the Baal Shem Tov answers, the Neshama de Lamaila hears it, and it sends drops, Mazal Lashon Dropper, drops down signals to the Neshama Mata. So where's this Lamaila? So you do some research in Mamorim, and you know what it says? You know what means Lamaila? The part of you that's l'mayla metam v'das. That's l'mayla. That's a much closer shaykhus than we thought till now. The neshama l'mayla, epis agets avu. There is this part in you that is l'mayla metam v'das. Hello, is everybody listening? Am I knocking off your socks or they're still on? They're on. Okay, I hope to knock them all off. So let's continue. So where does a yid have emunah? So the Rebbe's masbir, number one, like I just now said, your neshama sees the Eibishter. That's where you get the emunah from. What means emunah? I know it. I'm sure. Where do you know it? Because I see it. That's one hezbollah. Then the Rebbe goes a deeper hezbollah. It's talking about a different madrega in the neshama. He's talking chaya and yechide. Yechide is like a tchila, one with the Eibishter. Chelik, we all know the chiddush of the Alter Rebbe, that the Alter Rebbe learns chelik elokam imal mamish, that it means mamish a chelik. So the famous Torah from Reb Sadia Gaon, etzem kshata toifes b'mitzosai ata toifes b'kuloi. When you talk about a chelik, it means, like it says in some mamorim, boire becomes nivre. There's nothing higher. What the Alter Rebbe wrote, mamish, so there's a Mesorah from the Rabbeim, that mamish has two perushim, that even in the part of the neshama that's in the guf, that is a mamish, even the part that's a physical gashmistic body, there gefindt sich a chelik elokam imal mamish. So if you're talking about a chelik, so where does it have a munah? It is the Eibishter. It's not a zweite Sache. The rest saw the Eibishter, all the madrega of Chaye. You say it witnesses the Eibishter. But on a Yechida level, it is a part of the Eibishter. That's how it knows. I need to also add that the same Alter Rebbe, in a different chelik of Tanya, learns different than how he learns in Perek Beis. In Igeres HaTshuva, a major part of Igeres HaTshuva, the Alter Rebbe teaches chelik Havaya Amoy, chelik of the Shem Havaya. He doesn't talk about Atzmos, he talks about that in every Yid is the 10 koiches. These 10 koiches is mamish, the 10 koiches of Atzilus. Akopanim, there he learns a whole different pshat in the chelik. It's Avaya, not Atzmos. Avaya is Yud Kei Vav Kei, that's the Esesviras. But the chiddush of the Alter Rebbe in Perek Beis, that's a Meshuggah. Nicht da Eges nicht da in Kabbalah, keine sagt nicht das Wort. A chelik von Atzmos. If we do understand, not understand it, irrelevant, but it's a moiredike word, and that's what a Yid is. There's nothing higher than a Yid. If he's a chelik of the Eibishter, what could be higher? So getting back, so the Rebbe learns over there that that's a pshat where maminim b'nei maminim, either because we witness Hashem or because we are part of Hashem. Two madregas. That also answers, incidentally, how in the world, I'm sure you know this, but we have to talk about it. Where does Yidden have these Lubavitcher weirdos go around the world being Mekar of people? These people say, I'm not interested, Rabbi. Do you understand? I'm not interested. I'm an atheist, I'm a communist, I'm an agnostic, I'm a pumpkin. So how in the world do we have this breitkeit and determination that we go to a Yid no matter what he says? It's only because we have Hasidus. And Hasidus says this guy doesn't even know he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a chelik elokam imal. And he sees the Eibishter just like me. He doesn't feel it. He has a cover, noch a layer. But what's behind this? We're Torah Paskins, we all know what the Rebbe says. He brings the Rambam in Perek Beis, Hilchos Gershon. You don't know what you're talking about. You do believe. That's who you are. So you witnessed Hashem. Your neshama is witnessing God. So when you talk to a person like that, at least you believe that you're not Nespal or whatever the guy says. I don't know what kind of people you deal with. Do you deal with such Yidden? But you should. Every Yid believes just like you, and is a chelik or just like you. Okay, so where are we up to? So we discussed Shittas HaRambam, how the Rebbe learns what's the mitzvah for Emunah, what's the mitzvah of Das. Das is a mandatory, it's something that you have to do. And a lot of Jews, Frumme Jews, Hasidic Yidden, never heard this. You take the average Jew, he can have a summit to hit, a low kapata, pays down to his whatever. He doesn't even know the whole inning of Emunah in the Eibishter. I want to tell you my life experience. I was around the map, and I was around whatever they call it. I stopped many Yidden, and I asked them about what's Emunah or what's Echad, which I'm going to leave for the next class. But Echad, how many thousands of Yidden are shrying Echad? What goes on in a shul, in a Hungarian shul or a Hasidic shul, when they say Echad, you could think that it's a ballistic, I don't know what's going on. Echad, that they clap in the mach with the hand in the face, and it's like they're going close to nefesh. We got to hand out some bagels. Then I go over after they finish the whole show, and I ask her, excuse me, sir, like, could you tell me, like, what's bothering you with this? Like, what do you care if he is Echad? Like, are you planning to become Eibishter? Is he in your way? Like, what are you so making so much noise? I mean, after, so a lot of people who are really want to think that the Eibishter, they belong in a Bellevue or in a Mishagoyim. So what is your commotion? So after I calm him down, we're both talking, he said, yeah, so now do I know Eibishter? I said, that's what you thought today when you said there's only one Eibishter? Do you know that a guy is mechuyev to believe that there's only one Eibishter? That's one of the Sheva mitzvahs. Shlilas avodah zarah. A guy is mechuyev to believe that there's only one Eibishter. So what are you hakim Shema Yisrael? This is what you had in mind? That there's only, and you're convincing yourself, no, there's only one Eibishter. You push it beside that, you're not mekayim the mitzvah. It's the reise. What is going on? That's what you thought. So we're talking here very negaya. When you talk to, you want to be mekara a Hasidic Yid. To learn Hasidus, he has to know the nechitzis, not just because it will help him for mitzvahs. He has no clue what the whole religion is all about. The Yesod is Torah he doesn't have. I want to tell you just a little milk of the bdichas. I heard this from Ramendel Marozov, Oliver Shalom. He was a cute Yiddle, had a sense of humor, and he told that when he came to America, the first place where he lived for some reason was in Williamsburg. I don't know how he needed some apartment, and that's where he ended up. And by him, this was a murdic thing, as he sees Yidden chuckling with the pace of flying west, east, west. It was like a scene and a half. He never saw this. It was like very interesting. Anyway, one day, they were machabed him up in the shul to talk, and he spoke about Achdus Havaya. After he finished his talking, they said to him, it's Kenish Zayin. Whatever you're saying, it's Kenish Zayin emes. Why? They never heard such a thing. Do you hear what's going on? They were Tmimah people, but they never heard of such a thing. It cannot be true. It could never heard such a thing. Stop a Hasidic Yid from any kreis and say, wusste das Chasidus? Wusste das Gebäude? Was handelt sich du? Dann ein ehrlicher Yid. Was heißt ehrlicher Yid? Ehrlicher Yid darf ein Hochsidus. So do a Shulchan Aruch. What makes a chassid tick? It says in the Gemara, the makkah of the word chassid is from the Gemara that a chassid goes l'fnim b'shur sadin. I'm sure everybody knows, with the nice with the nails, fine. But why does a guy go l'fnim b'shur sadin? That's the question. You can't say a chassid is one who goes. Why is he going l'fnim b'shur sadin? Because he learns Chassidus be'em Yiddishkeit sein ganzes Leben. So he's not only doing it to be Yaitze or to go to Gan Eden, this is his whole life. So what is Chassidus? What is it? What's the material? What's the Havana in it? So it's Pikuach Nefesh to be Mekarev all the Chassidim. No, Avada only with love, and not that they should ever feel that you know more than them or you're Malmaila Lamata, whatever. You have to push it. It should be Negeya to you, to be Mekarev every year, to know about the Eibishter. It's Negeya to be a Mashiach, it's Negeya to the whole Kavanah. You can't sit still a moment. Every Lubavitcher has a Chiyuv Deraisa to be Mekarev, the Chassidish Yidden, just like the non-Frumme Yidden. Every Yid needs big help. And we can't say, oh, they're already from, they're Chassidim already, it's okay, more or less, they're okay. If you get to start talking with them, they have a lot missing. Okay, so now let's go back a little bit, back to where we're up to. I wrote a sefer on the Yud Gimel Ikrim. It's in English. You can all get it if you are smart, because it's going to be very helpful to you. But one of the things I wrote there is that all the Yud Gimel Ikrim was made like a pyramid. This means that every Yesod is based on the earlier Yesodis. They're not individual Ikrim. In order to understand even the last Ikar, which is about Triyas HaMeisim, you have to start from the first Ikar. It's a whole Mahalach that the Rambam has, that everything, one is based on the other. So if we will understand, and we'll go away from today's shir, understanding the first Ikar, then we'll able to go to the next Ikrim. We'll understand there's a whole mahalach to get to the top. So we were talking about das, how important das is. It so happens, we don't have to say it again and again, but the Rebbe talks about this over and over, brings from the Shulchan Aruch, that there is such a thing as Kol Masecha Yir L'Shem Shemayim, and then there's the next level, B'chol Drochecha Do'ehu. It's not just a pesach. This that the Rebbe explains the Rambam, that the first thing is das, that you always have to be thinking about the Eibishter. This is Yiddishkeit. This is not just a beer afamuna. That means that the smontzach by Yid to be attached with the Eibishter all the time. And that's b'chol dorchecha de'ehu. So it's not talked up enough amongst ourselves, and of course not talked up enough in verspreiten Yiddishkeit, that to be busy with the Eibishter, that is the Yesodus of Yiddishkeit. The Rebbe learns what is b'chol dorchecha de'ehu. Basically, it means seeing, being aware and looking that everything's hashgacha pratis. That means b'chol dorchecha de'ehu. Whatever you do, you have to always remember this is all hashgacha pratis. And there's a message, it's a this, there's so many different things but you have to constantly be aware the Eibishter is around. So this is not common. Without Hasidus, nowhere is it common to be busy with the Eibishter. In der Lutvische Yeshivas is the man, it's nicht over to reden. The Eibishter is bechlal, not even on the agenda bechlal. You have to steige in Torah, you have to become a godel, you have to get tzcha. But about the Eibishter, like I'm sure you all know, a lot of people say, no, this Chassidus is too much about the Eibishter. That's exactly the point. There's nothing else besides the Eibishter. And that's the whole mitzvah of Das, and that's Negeya every moment of the day. So the nechitzes of Chassidus is for so many different things, but l'chol hapach is the first mitzvah. The first mitzvah. Mit darf liegen in der Eibishter a ganzen Tag. Says who? The Eibishter. Yeah, he has also something to say, no? So, but that's how the Rambam, he starts with that, he ends with that. The whole Yiddishkeit is, you have to be busy with the Eibishter. Because there isn't anything else but the Eibishter. It's not like, it helps for the cause. It's not because it's going to be good for something, because that's all there is. This sounds almost like a Verbringen here more than a Shia, but whatever it is. But I always complain about this. In 770, we were brought up, it comes before Yom Tovim, they hang up zettlach on the walls that this guy is going to go to this shul, this guy is going to go to this shul, but you never find a sign that should say, this guy is going to talk to himself. He's going to learn, he's going to take Hasidus himself. If you put that on the wall, I don't know how long it's going to last on the wall. We have to understand you can't really talk to somebody else when you're not fired up yourself. The guy could sense that in 2 minutes. The Rebbe Rashab, I don't know if everybody knows this, the Rebbe Rashab, before he said a Maimor, he said, Yehi Ratzoin, Sheyiful Bi Ube Hashoimim. You hear what's going on? Who are you to go to the shul? When was the last time you did something with yourself? You're full of baloney. You're a bull artist. Gegangen naar shul. You're going to write a check. Gegangen naar shul. What did you do with this sicha? How much did you work on yourself with this sicha before you're going, what do you want from them? You're a bull artist. Man muss allein arbeiten mit sich. Und jener wird fühlen, dass, der Mensch, meint doch das. Ist doch in der Minion. So I'm going back to das ist Negeya mit der Wissen sein Chassidim. Mit was sind wir Chassidim? Man liegt in der Eibishter den ganzen Tag. That's what a chassid is. Anyways, everyone should be blessed. I hope we'll meet each other next week, same time. Und es wird zukommen Schäumim und mit Überherren, dass es mit Gerät, was die dicke Sachen. Und ich sollte alle sein gebencht.